Okay, so this is a video that I'm throwing in additionally. For you guys, it's gonna be just right into still the beginning of section of the whole course, section 2, but I need to make a video using an aeronautical chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. I've removed all the information, as you can see, from the air evaluation information section. Okay, this is going to be a completely new section. It's going to be section F, if I'm not mistaken, or subsection. So let's go and do that. I'm going to get my map out and I'm going to work on this with you guys. Okay, so you can see I've got my map laid out in front of me. I've got my stationery ready to do the planning. All right, I just want to show off, this is my map that I actually use. So I'm just going to show off what we're going to be doing. So you can see here, you go ahead and you first have to find your location, right? So you're going to find the coordinates and then you're going to work them out. You're going to draw the line to the point where it meets, okay? For me, this one was for this section over here. You can see I did some planning there. I also did some planning up there. I've also done planning down here before. This is actually the one that we're going to be doing, okay? So I don't have to figure it out, but I am going to do the coordinates anyways, so you guys can see how I do it basically. But it's pretty simple, right? You just follow the grid, find the numbers, find the coordinates on Google, follow the grid, check it out. Okay, that's the closest number, work out to your minutes, and then draw your line. The best thing, the most recommended thing would be to get this laminated, and then you can draw on it with like Kokies and markers and then erase it. But if you get it laminated, you can't carry it around folded up, so just be aware of that. Okay, but yeah, so this is what your map looks like. I have shown a map off in bits and pieces in the first course. I haven't shown it in the second course though. So this is just the legend I was talking about in that first course. That is your scale up there. This is of course your grid, where you can find your coordinates along the sides, and then this is everything on the map. All right, so the first thing we've got to do is figure out our coordinates, right? We've done that, we did that already in the section, so we've got our coordinates there. We can use our takeoff coordinates, we can use the things coordinates, it doesn't really matter, okay? When it comes to the map, this is a big thing, right? We can't work out the exact point where we're going to take off, but we can work out the point at which we want to fly, that airspace that we want to use. That's the point of a map, right? Is to understand the airspace we'll be flying in and what is around that, not necessarily the exact details. That's why we still have all those other things. Sorry about my blisters, those are from gym. All right, so the first thing we need to do is figure this out. You go to, if we look at I know I've got the dot there, but let's just pretend that I don't have it there, that I'm working it out. Okay, so our latitude is 25 degrees 45 minutes. Our longitude is 28 degrees 0 minutes. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to get my pencil at the ready, right? If this thing will just keep focusing. And we're going to start with the 25 degrees. We're first going to work out our 25 degrees. So 25 minutes is actually right at the top there. So you go down and then we'll work out the number. I'm pretty sure it was 47 minutes because I think I've got it there. But for now, we've got our 25 degrees latitude. We now need to work out our longitude, which was 28 degrees, right? So we've got the 28 degrees over there. So I'm just going to give it a nice circle. Then we come back here and we see 45 minutes and 0 minutes. So that means this one will be on the dot. Okay, so that immediately tells me that this is off, right? This should be somewhere around there rather than right there. And then it was 45, 47. Why do I keep forgetting it? 45 minutes. Okay, so it's not this 47-minute mark. You would then go, so what would you do? Remember that there are 60 minutes in every degree, right? 25 degrees, 26 degrees, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So we are on 40, and we then go into your 10 seconds in each minute. So 10, 20, 30, 40, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go. I missed that one over there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. This is the correct one. So 45, minutes, not degrees. And then what are you going to do? Well, you're going to figure out where they join, right? This is a pretty easy one because all I have to do is look at this 40-degree line that I've drawn. There are also grid lines going across. Or you can go ahead and use a ruler, or you can use a string, you can use a thing. If you've got a laminated, I would recommend this one because you're gonna get the most accurate. You can also then draw. You can put it underneath the line and draw along the side of your tape, and then you will have your line, okay? But I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to just use my ruler. Yes, it's gonna be harder because my ruler is not going to reach all the way. But that's the way I'm used to, so I'm just gonna do it that way. And I'll get back to you once I've done this and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, the first thing I want to show off about this is that if you do use a ruler, it is a little easier. Or if you use a string, where sometimes your string goes wonky, you just gotta go in between sections. Look, 45 minutes, and then if you go along, there's nothing along this grid line over here, but you've then got this grid line over here, which then tells me, okay, that's the right one. How do I know? Because that is, if you look at my line above, that is my 40 minutes, which means if I go 5 down, 45 minutes. And that's how you're going to make your way across. Okay, so just note that. I've gone ahead and made the lines additionally rough so that you guys can see exactly what I've done. Okay, so I worked out the minutes, went across, did the longitude, went across, and then you're gonna get to the point where they meet. It gets harder, the deeper you go into the map, it gets harder because there's more going on, but you can figure it out, you just gotta pay attention. So it's that big dot over there. Now that we've established our location, you can actually go ahead and figure these things out. So the first one, if it'll focus, is your airspace type. So we need to know what airspace are we flying in. Now this is gonna get rough. When you look at a map, you have a 2D representation of 3D space, and you have to use information on this 2D representation to figure out the 3D space. Have a look at this, okay? Vertical of TMA, FL195, FL7600. Okay, so that's saying that this is an airspace, this airspace out here is a TMA, a controlled airspace, from this high up to this point here. Okay, if you remember anything from the first course, 195 FL, add 2 zeros at the end. So this is 19,500 feet. This is 7,600 feet. So this says that this airspace actually starts in the air at 7,600 feet and ends higher in the air. Okay, so this airspace, even though it looks like on the map, it looks like it's on the ground, it's not on the ground. Okay, and this is why your aeronautical charts get tricky. Let's go to our spot and let's figure out if we are in any sort of airspace. Okay, we already know the answer. We've looked at it in RSA data, but let's pretend we haven't. Okay, so we are there. So let's see what we need to do. Are we in any sort of like FAD or any borders like this? No, there's no borders around us. Okay, so then we start zooming out a little bit. Zoom out, zoom out. We're not in an airspace here. We're not in this airspace here. This is an airspace. We're not in any of these things, right? We're completely free. We're not in something like this. So then you zoom out even more, and you start noticing that there's a big airspace around us. Okay, how do you figure out what this is? You got to look along the sides. Okay, look along the sides. There you go, Johannesburg TMA. All right, this says 7,600. So we know that that being the lower limit, 7,600, sorry, my finger was covering it up, but 7,600 means that it is not on the ground. So we are not in the TMA. Okay, so then you're just gonna keep making your way around. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you keep making your way around. You check all the airspaces around you. This is the main one. Okay, there is this one out here as well, the CTA. But the CTA, which covers the whole of Joburg really, will be above the TMA. So you don't need to, if you're not in the TMA, you know you're not in the CTA. Remember, CTA comes above a TMA. So if TMA is the biggest one I can see that I actually am in, but I'm not technically in it, because it starts higher than the ground, then where am I? You got to figure this out. Okay, look around, see what's around you. Have a look here. Johannesburg Special Rules West Sector, 7,600 feet, start point, and ends on the ground. Or actually, sorry, the start point is the ground and ends it, but you get what I'm saying, right? This starts at 7,600, which means this has to be below this one, which means this is probably this, but underneath this, if that makes sense. Okay, the Pokemon face as I call it. All right, so we know now that we are in fact in the Johannesburg Special Rules sector, and you're just going to go around and check, you just check around it if you are correct. We then go on to airspace name. Well, we've got that. It gives it to us right then and there. If we go on to our nearest FAR, FAD, and FAP. So remember that, because this will be pertinent to the dudes who are not in RSA, using the RSA data, this will be your aeronautical chart for people who don't have that system. Remember that FA is a South African designation, okay? It's not gonna be FA for you, it's gonna be whatever D, whatever P, whatever R, okay? But all you gotta do is then look on the map, okay? What are the nearest things, okay? FAP 64 is most certainly the nearest FAP, it's right next to us, okay? You then go up here, I can't read it too well, but it's FAD 71, okay? FAD 71 also is our nearest FAD, but we know that we've got a few FADs, right? This is the border of this FAD. The reason this is not inside this is because this is too small to fit that. Have a look here though. This is this FAD, but this is big enough to fit this inside. So we know that you mustn't look at this. That's much further away than this. What you look at is this, the boundary of the airspace. And if you work us out, we're pretty much smack bang in between both of those, right? So both of these are our nearest FADs. Then if we go to the FAR, if you have a look around, the FAR is going to be a little harder to find. I'd say 172. There might be another one nearby, but you get the point, right? Then if you go on to the nearest thing, the next one, sorry, it's going to be your nearest CTR. We also want to find the nearest ATZ. Okay, so this is where you start getting technical. You start zooming in and seeing what's around you. Okay, we've got, as soon as you've got like differentiating colors or shades, I want you to be looking at that in detail. Okay, this is clearly going to be something different to this, right? It's a whole different shade. So you zoom in and you've got Lanseria CTR. You also check on this one, you've got Swartkops, you've also got this one here, Waterkloof, there you go, Waterkloof CTR. We also have so on and so forth, right? So you just figure out which one is which. You've got the Vonderboom CTR there, so you figure those out. If you start zooming in, you then start finding your ATZs, okay? You've got your Grand Central ATZ over there. I'm not finding the other ATZ. Ah, there it is. It just took me a while to figure it out, but there it is, okay? Swartkops ATZ. That's why it's important to look for quite a while, right? Because now we know that this one down here is way further than this one up here, which means that's our nearest ATZ. As for nearest CTR, I might say Lanseria, because have a look at our dots. How would I figure this out? You take your ruler, right? Ruler, measure. But why would you do that if it's important to know your closest CTR and there's multiple close CTRs? Why wouldn't you just learn what they all are? Right, you're going to do that. So don't even bother with measuring which one is closer. Just take them all down. I would take Lanseria. I would take the Waterkloof. Even right down to OR Tambo down here. I would take all of these down if I really could, but I wasn't going to for this course. We then go on to the next thing, which is nearest aerodromes. And finding the nearest ATZs and CTRs is going to help you with the aerodromes. If you don't know what aerodromes are or look like on the map, you got to look for, well, actually you would look down at the section here, the legend. It would tell you aerodromes. This is the symbol, this is the symbol, this is the symbol. Then you'd come back up here and you'd look at the symbol, right? I was just going to show you the symbols immediately. But anyway, so we've got one over there, which is Swartspruit, but we don't need to know about it. We've got Micro Ranch, we've got Jimmy's Field. So these are just clearly not something super important to note, right? If it's things like Jimmy's Field, you can go and do your research, but we've done that already and we know these are not big deals. What I want to know is, where is traffic going to become an issue? Where are aircrafts coming or going that I need to be aware of when flying? And that's why you get to your bigger aerodromes, okay? The big aerodromes. But look everywhere, see if you can find everything. Literally don't skimp out when it comes to your flight planning. All right, so then nearest recreational areas. This doesn't actually show it off Okay, you might get something like down here where it does give you the Michali's or Orient glider area, and then you use all of that to work out the rest, right? Expected air traffic, overlapping air traffic routes. If you wanted to use the map to figure out routes, you're going to look at things like this, right? You're going to just figure out what they are, use your legend to help you figure them out, and then see what routes are where. But you don't need to worry too much about that, because you can think, well, if people are coming to Lanseria, of course they're going to come to me, right? If they're going from there to there, there to there, there to there, whatever it is. We've got airports all around us. There's going to be traffic routing everywhere. Flight approval requirement, we've touched on all of this, right? If you're in a controlled airspace, we are not in a controlled airspace. We're in a special rules airspace. So we don't need to do any of that. We do need to know our nearest ATSU in case we need to contact them. I would say Lanseria, Waterkloof, Swartkop, and maybe Vonderboom as well. Also need to know the radio frequencies for each of those ATSUs and their contact numbers, as well as alternate comms. So where do you find those? We already did that in a course. Those are in your AIPs. I hope that cleared things up for you. I'm sorry about all the wobbliness of the recording. It is what it is. I was doing it all with a phone. Please go ahead and head over now to the next section. You're actually starting a whole new section. Enjoy it. Section 3. All right. I think it was the crew briefing, and that's a pretty interesting one.